Hello, today we are going to talk about polar calculus. We've done a little bit of a preview of polar coordinate system. Hopefully that was a review from your pre-calculus. And then today we're going to start taking on that polar coordinate system and doing some calculus with it. So specifically, we're going to look at finding the slope of a tangent line. And then also finding the area inside of a polar curve. So kind of pulling in some of the things we've done in Calculus 1 and in this class, and doing that with polar coordinates. Now let's start with the slope of that tangent line. And the important thing to remember here is the slope is the derivative dy dx, so it's in rectangular coordinates. And so we are taking our polar coordinate system and we're doing a parameterization of it. So this formula here on the left side should look kind of familiar from our parametric equations section. And we end up with this formula here. Now I'm not going into how this formula was derived, so that's really a job for the textbook. And the notes will have more of an explanation of that. Really in this video, we're just going to focus on actually using the formula. So let's take this to an example. So I've got my formula up here on the right. Don't want to have to memorize this thing. And I'm going to find the derivative of the polar curve r equals 4 cosine theta at the point 2 pi over 3. So I'm going to start by actually finding the derivative of this equation for r in terms of theta so that I can plug it in for dr d theta here. And you'll see I also have a spot to plug in r, so the 4 cosine theta itself will go into this formula as well. And then I'll start simplifying. So the derivative of 4 cosine theta is negative 4 sine theta. And I can take that and the original function and plug them both in. And so they're going to be some combining with the sines and cosines that are in the formula over here. On the bottom, I've got two like terms there, so I can go ahead and combine those to start simplifying this. And then I've got the 4's on top, which I could factor out and reduce with the 8 on the bottom, so I can simplify just a little bit further, clean up those coefficients a little bit. So there's my derivative dy dx for this polar curve. Now they gave me a point, so I actually want to keep going with this, and I'm going to actually plug in the angle pi over 3 that they gave us and evaluate it to get an actual value or a slope at this particular point on the curve. So I'm just taking this formula here at the bottom, plugging in pi over 3, and I'm going to start evaluating those trig functions. We want to make sure we're doing exact values here. We don't want to be rounding these off. So you might want to pull out a unit circle, or there's some tricks on your calculator you can use to figure these out if you have trouble with memorizing that, which I definitely do. My little trick for this is when I plug in something like sine of pi over 3, if you square the result, you'll get what's inside of the root here. So if I took sine of pi over 3 and squared it, I would get 3/4. Which is, and then if I square root that, I would get this root 3 over 2. So just kind of a trick you can use if you struggle with memorizing that unit circle. Okay, so I've got them all plugged in. It's just a matter of simplifying from here. So I can start squaring things on the top and multiplying things out on the bottom. So those 2's reduce on the bottom, the root disappears on the top when I square that, and so forth. And then do a little bit more simplifying until I end up with either 1 over root 3, or if you wanted to rationalize that, it would be root 3 over 3. So that is the slope of this polar curve at the point 2 pi over 3. Okay, so the other thing we want to look at in this section is finding the area of a region in polar coordinates. So we've done area under a curve previously in this course, and now we're just taking it a step further by applying it in polar coordinates. So the formula looks a little bit different here because I do have this parameterized curve. R is a function of theta. And so our formula is going to be 1/2 times f of theta squared minus g of theta squared. Now, a lot of times we end up with just one function here because these polar curves tend to loop back on themselves. So you might just end up with one function, and rather than having the subtraction there, that's a more common example you'll see. So let's do an example with this. Okay, and so here you can see I only have one curve, so this is probably one that is going to loop back on itself. And they do tell me it has a leaf. So I'm going to graph this thing. I definitely want to see what's going on with this, see if I can identify some symmetry that will allow me to find this area a little bit more easily. So I'm going to start by going over to Desmos and seeing what r equals cosine of 3 theta looks like. And this is one of those things I really love about Desmos. It allows us to type in polar coordinates without having to change modes or anything like that, like you'd have to do on a graphing calculator. So r equals cosine of 3. And to get that theta, I literally just type out the word theta, and it will switch it to the symbol for me. So I get this nice little rose curve with 3 leaves on it, or petals. And if I can zoom in a little bit if I want to get a closer look at it. And the problem did ask me for just 1 leaf. So I'm going to pick this one right here on the right side. And you can see that there's some symmetry here. So if I just find the area of the top half, then I can multiply by 2 and get the entire leaf. So that is the plan I'm going to go with here. And so the top half of this leaf starts at a radius of 0 at the origin, and then it goes all the way out to its farthest point. It has a radius of 1. So I just need to figure out what angles I'm going to use for those 2 points, because I do need these for the limits of integration. I need to know where to start and stop. So I'm going to start at r equals 0 and go to r equals 1. Our formula is integrating with respect to theta, so I need to know the angles for those 2 points. And so we're going to go back to the actual equation and do a little bit of trig to figure this out. So at the origin, the start of this leaf, the top half of the leaf, cosine of 3 theta equals 0. And so I can solve this using cosine inverse. So 3 theta would be equal to cosine inverse of 0. You can also use a unit circle if you've got that handy or memorized to solve these. And so, well, 3 theta would have to equal pi over 2. That's what cosine inverse of 0 is. And then solving that by dividing by 3, I get an angle of pi over 6. So that tells me one of my limits of integration. The other one was when the radius was 1. So I'm going to also solve this where cosine of 3 theta equals 1. So again, use the inverse. This time, cosine inverse of 1 is going to be 0, which means that theta will also be 0. So my limits of integration are going to be 0 and pi over 6. Okay, so I'm ready to actually set up my integral using that formula. I only had one function, so I don't need to do any subtraction here. It's just going to be my curve squared, going from 0 to pi over 6, and there was a 1/2 in that formula as well. And since I'm only going 0 to pi over 6, that's the top half of the leaf. So I'm going to multiply this integral by 2 to get both halves of the leaf. And this is a really common thing I do because so often these polar curves have some kind of symmetry to them. So if I get a circle, I usually just find half the circle and double it and so forth. Okay, so the 2 and the 1/2 will cancel out front, and I can go ahead and square that cosine of 3 theta. And we learned way back at the beginning of this course that I will use this identity here, this trig identity, when I have a sine or a cosine squared. Okay, so we're really pulling in a lot of stuff from early in the semester here. So this 1/2 comes from the identity. The 1/2 and the 2 out front are gone. And I've got 1 times cosine of, and I had to double the angle in here because that's a double angle formula that I just used. So it's become 6 theta. But now I can use just a quick u substitution to integrate this. So I will get a 1/2 here and then a 1/6 there. And actually, I think that should be a 1/12. So I see a little typo here, but we're going to keep going because this video is almost at the end. So yeah, be careful with that substitution. This should be 1/12 because I had that 1/2 out front. And I think there should be some parentheses at least around this. To multiply by that 1/2 out front. And so, yeah, I have to make some adjustments here to fix this. That 1/2 should be outside the parentheses, but you get the idea. We're evaluating this at pi over 6, which would turn the 6 theta to just pi and to 0 here. And we would get a final answer. I won't bother with the final answer it would be pi over 12 if I hadn't had that typo with the parentheses, but otherwise this one is good to go. I'll put in the comments below this video what the correct answer should have been at the end. Okay, so we've looked at an example of derivatives and area. Here's a couple more examples for you to try on your own.